What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to another live stream. Tuesday, July 23rd. Steven, Kyle, what's going on, guys? I see a bunch of people hopped in right away. Jumping on a little bit early. I said 10:30, but I am on now. 10:09 and 35 seconds Eastern. Going to be trading ES on TopstepX. Same-ish, different day. Not a terrible morning. Didn't really capitalize on the move the way that I wanted to. Fully getting in down here, coming off of these VWAPs, but I was trying to avoid being in a trade at 10 o'clock when we had some orange folder news come out. So no worries. Not a bad morning. $275 on a combine. This is I think the same one from yesterday. So let's get right into it, man, because I'm watching for a trade setup coming pretty quickly. We had some liquidity for sure on Bookmap. I'll show you guys a Bookmap in a little bit. Above these price levels, right? If we zoom out, we can see what we talked about in my free Discord. If you're not in the free Discord, you miss out on getting my charts every morning and my analysis that I talk about. A couple if-then scenarios. We had our choppy day yesterday, right, in the 15-minute, pushed up all the way towards the end of the day. This is like 2:30 Eastern. Sold off overnight, put the low in around that 4 a.m. and pushed all the way up back to this level right here that we were testing multiple times. We are above prior day high, above pre-market high. We're breaking out to the upside. We look very bullish so far for, just going to zoom out so VWAP resets itself. We look very bullish so far, right, for NYSE session. Nothing for this is telling me to sell. We are above, again, pre-market high, prior day high. We're above every VWAP I have on my chart. I got a couple. As we started to break out, I wanted to see, what this looked like. These acted as very, very nice dynamic support levels, showing buyers in control. We're pushing higher if that's not obvious, just looking at your market structure here on the 1 minute. So right now, I'm just going to see if we get a retest. Maybe I look for a buy entry. This, to me, looks like one of those days where if this is going to continue, we can push up quite a bit higher. This is the next level, just a discretionary support and resistance zone. You call it area interest, whatever you like to use. We're going to talk about liquidity in terms of liquidity on Bookmap. Real liquidity, not where we think it is, above a high or a low or at some time during some day. So I'll call everything else an area of interest. So we're coming back down to this area of interest, right? Pre-market high. This looks very bullish. I just want to see if now we're going to get a deeper retest into the zone, right? We broke out. I don't want to be a buyer just yet. This would have been not a bad place for a buy with a stop loss down below here. We're getting another opportunity for that, but I do think a retest is more likely. Or just a push back down towards prior day high or session VWAP. I very well may get left in the dust here, and this may just push up. I'm going to see if we come back up and break the high again. I'm not going to be waiting for that. But we came up and filled quite a bit of larger orders that were on the book. Right around this area here, above these highs that were put in. So we don't have anything major above now. We got some stuff got some orders at 25. But I just want to give this a second to see if we're going to pull back deeper in. I don't want to be late to the party to buy now. So going to wait for some kind of a retest. See what happens if we come down to this level. We got anchored VWAP off of the low and NYSE session off of 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Right here, lining up with prior day high. It would also be pretty close to this low. I just want to see if we come back down into this range. I will miss a nice entry here with a stop loss below here because I want to see if it comes back down in, or if this is just going to continue ripping it to the upside. This is the time where I would look for, if this is not going to continue, we get this bullish structure. Now we're going to come back down into the range. This is right about the market structure that I would see that happen on. So I'm going to wait for a buy. Looking for buys, but I want to wait. Again, not a bad spot, right? We're retesting these highs that were broken. This is pre-market high. It's coming right off of this level here. You could have a stop loss below prior day high, so not a bad spot. And if we get really, really aggressive coming off this, I'll look at it. But I got a couple little wins in here, so I'm going to stay patient for a moment. 15 minutes past the 10 a.m. orange folder news. Again, not major, but we don't have anything really sticking out below price as far as orders on the book. Right now, at least, this stuff does change quickly. Nothing crazy that's sticking out to me that price would want to go and grab before we moved higher. So that's making the case for long America here today. And yeah, the only stuff I see sitting on the book right now is above price, right around this 26 level, 56.26, right at the highs. And yep, it looks like we are just going to pump from right here. Let's jump out to the 5-minute real quick. I want to see see if I could refine any of these zones. So, I mean, we do have a level here, right? We could see all these lows that were tested. Right down here around this 56.30, 56.32, I'd say. That could be the first hang up if we're going to continue higher. Just want to see if I want to mark this any differently. Yeah, you know what? No, this is okay. I like this. I like where I've got this zone, and then I'll throw one more above it right here. That's next area. I like this. If we're going to push up, I think we're going to push into these and come right up here. Also lines up with these highs over here. Not a bad area to target if we are going to continue moving higher. So 5 minutes, just take the quick peek. Yeah, another bullish candle forming. No wick to the downside on this one. It's a little bit sketchy, but this is still looking very, very bullish. So let's get back to my 1 minute. Let's zoom out. So the VWAP resets. And get over here. Good morning, man. First time here. Welcome in. Welcome in. Trading ES on TopstepX on the 1 minute chart. This is S&P futures. It's the mini contract. I am in a Topstep combine. Yeah, I think we look bullish, guys. That's the read that I'm getting for today. I don't want to be too aggressive. Sorry for messing with this chart so much, but there we go. Again, Bookmap's been very helpful. Using order flow has been very helpful. Once we start to get maybe above or below all of my levels, right? Once we're outside of everything, my objective levels, pre-market high, prior day high, volume point of control, once we get outside of that, then I'm looking at just market structure looking left. But Bookmap is also pretty solid for lighting up, maybe right around those areas. If I'm pretty solid marking my zones, I happen to be spotting that liquidity as well, or it's lining up with liquidity that's coming on the book. But it's been helpful to say, hey man, we got something like huge orders on the book at 56.30. That looks like a great target. We're looking to trade right towards that. Right now, again, I'm watching it closely. I see some stuff that came on at 28. This looks like it wants to go. Again, if we are going to have this deeper pullback in, it looked like we might get it here. This would be more of the breakout trade, just continuing to the upside. Stop loss right below here. Again, I want to get long. I'd love to get long with 2 contracts somewhere that I'm comfortable with. Try to get stop loss to break even. Maybe take one in profit, and leave another one to run. If this does continue, in a perfect world, that would be the situation that I'm in. In a much more real world, I'm going to try to not get left in the dust if this is going to push up, while not jumping in too early, having a trash entry and an invalidation point that is still within the means of this being very bullish for the day. Yeah, but this to me feels like bulls back in town. We're going to keep pushing this thing higher. We're in for one of those, those moves up. Again, from what I can see, my reading of the order book, nothing crazy below price, nothing major screaming at me to say, hey man, we're going to pull back in. We got a whole lot sitting on the book that price is going to pull back to before we're moving up. We've only got more and more showing up above price. 27 3/4 would be the next level. Right about there. We got some orders sitting right there. Not a massive amount. And then we got some stuff up around 31, 32. Retesting this high again. It looks like it wants to go for me, but I'm not going to take it yet. Here was the chance for the break and retest. Buy right down here. Could have been in profit, stop loss to break even, waiting for a breakout. And if it pulls back down, you're out. But again, this looked like we might get the pullback in, the deeper pullback in, come back down here, clear everybody out that's getting long right in this area, and then continue. But we're not getting that today. We're getting really, really clean market structure. Nice breaks and retests. Welcome, Chris. What's up, man? First time here as well. Looking forward to learning and making money. Yeah, man. Focus on the learning and less on the making money, and you'll probably make more money in the long run. You'll hear that from a lot of people. Yeah, big buying volume coming in for sure. Yeah, man. This looks bullish, guys. Let's see if we get a reaction here. That was quite a bit of volume that came in. You could even see it down here on the traditional volume. You could certainly see it on Bookmap as we came up and filled some of those orders like we were talking about, kind of right above this high. Coming into the next set is going to be this 27 level, even a little bit above that, 27 3/4. So we'll see if we just rip through this to the upside. Again, kind of leaving me in the dust, but I'm waiting for the bigger pullback to happen. I don't want to get caught on the wrong side of that. NQ also pushing highs. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, guys, if you're new here, for the most part, my trading is pretty simple. It's discretionary based on market structure, price action, some areas of interest. I use a couple different tools, mainly volume tools like traditional volume and VWAP, volume weighted average price, along with more recently, the tool that I've added is order flow. Bookmap chart shows me where orders and in what quantity are resting on the market. Can help with a number of different things. So coming off a little bit, man. This feels like the classic ES buy and buy. Close your eyes. What was the comment? Oh, so funny, man. Someone every once in a while someone says something that I find hysterical. Maybe nobody else finds it that funny. Buy, close your eyes, sing the national anthem. When the market was just ripping and really not giving you a spot to enter, that was someone's comment. When everybody starts to say, how I don't know how you buy this, that type of deal. Um, yeah, guys, I just feel like I don't want to jump in and have an invalidation point that is um, not in a great spot. This looks good for buys, but I'm gonna wait to see if we get the deeper pullback first, crack below a low, and then see what happens from there. Um, Oftentimes, if I take a couple trades like I did, get a little bit of a win, I don't hold a runner. I get stuck waiting for a pullback that just doesn't come. So I fully acknowledge that. But part of my deal is finding a pretty good way to structure risk. You know, we are long. It was heavy long tilt just a minute ago. It was like 77 or something in Nasdaq. I watch the bottom every once in a while. Um, once it gets up to like plus 70 or 80, you can almost count on the reversal. I watch that. I watch that just for fun. I don't really apply that to trading decisions, but it is interesting to watch. Um, so anyway, that's where I'm at here. I'm looking for a buy. We're up above everything. I don't have the 15-minute opening range on the chart right now. That would be over here. That would be your 15-minute opening range high. This would be your low down here. This is 945 actually, right there, top of that candle. So we're really up above every important level. Market structure looks very clean. Where we're at in the higher time frame supports the thesis that we can certainly move higher. No real news towards the end of the day. We certainly could have a rotation back in and just kind of have this tough, choppy day where everything looked good in the morning and we just come back into the range. I'm just waiting to see if we get any kind of deeper pullback in and then a strong reaction showing buyers are going to indeed maintain control. Again, that very well may not come. We may just continue to get this really clean price action to the upside, breaks and retest, and just not give me a spot to get in that way. But the more that this happens and continues and buyers stay in control, the more appealing it gets. Eyeballing this one. Yeah, nothing super exciting on Bookmap. Got Summit 31. Yeah, see, this a little bit of a measured move where we're like not, we didn't crack this high and continue through with so much force and then come back down to retest it. The extensions diminished a little bit, if I'm going to be really technical with it. And the pullback's now been a little bit deeper. You know, it's just that discernment of price action. So I just don't have the super warm, fuzzy feeling to take this long. Again, I've watched days like this, usually when it's a tighter trend, where it just continues. And this isn't a terrible spot to say, if this is going to continue up, I want to see it continue up from here. I don't want to see it come back down below this low. And, you know, this is my spot to get long for the day. If we come back into this range, I'll be waiting to see what happens, and maybe we try a long again down here if it comes back up, or if it starts slicing through all this, that we start to look for a short. So it's not a terrible buy from over here. Even something like that. Now that we're there, this just isn't giving me the, hey, we're just going to keep running right now. And I don't have something screaming at me above price on order flow that has been pretty nice and reliable to utilize in these kinds of situations. I don't have anything screaming at me below, which isn't giving me a really awesome target where I say, hey, we hit this level, I'm watching what happens. We turn right here, I'm buying. Or if we blast through to the downside, I'm out. So as a whole, Bookmap's not helping me too much. That's just what I'm getting at there. So again, I'm kind of just in wait and see mode. We turn from here and break to the upside. I've already missed my chance. We continue down into the zone. Now I will have saved myself a loss and just kind of wait to see what happens, as we get further in. That's kind of where I'm at here. We break this low. I want to see what happens. We come down and break this low. I want to see what happens. We turn from here without breaking it. It looks like a buy, and I'm more likely just to be later to the party and try it, somewhere up here as we're continuing up. Again, not looking to short it. I'm not the, catch the top or bottom tick type of trader. I will off of certain levels, like off of pre-market high. Right here, the first test of it, that could have been a nice quick little scalp to the downside, but not once we're looking this strong, or if we were looking super weak. So just chilling on this one, as the kids say. Let's see. We got some questions pulling up in the chat. Sorry, guys. I'm locked in for a minute here, so I tend to not read the chat if I see something starting to set up. This is looking less appealing, so now I will start to. Again, if you just rough interpretation of market structure, right? Let's go through this real quick. It's not always this exact, but if a trend is going to continue looking really, really strong, you want to see these extensions be really nice pushes up, breaking above the prior high, maybe nice shallow pullbacks just to this level where we're just touching back to the prior high broken in the uptrend, and then another really strong, push up. If you start to see what I'm looking at here, where we had nice push up, maybe the next one is just a little bit more shallow, and the next one's a little bit more shallow, and then we come down here, we don't break the low, we push up again, and then we start to break that low. That's kind of what I'm looking at right here. This is less convincing. Can this still shoot right up to the moon? Sure. This would have been the better spot somewhere earlier in the morning before this 10 a.m. deal to stay long, in my opinion. So waiting and seeing right now. But if you guys got questions, ask them in the chat. Let's start answering some of these. Took your advice with Tradeovate and Paper Trade, and in 2 days got $1,500 in fake money. Yeah, man. My advice to a lot of guys that are just starting out is just paper trade. Don't worry so much about the money that you're making. Focus on, learning how to trade, starting to understand the platform, the reading of price action, market structure, whatever tools you're going to use, starting to understand, what your risk management strategy is. Start developing that. All the stuff that you should be doing right from the beginning, you should be doing on, paper trading, in my humble opinion. There's no reason to believe that you'd be able to consistently make money in the markets without any track record of you doing it on demo first. So why would you go and do it live or waste your money? The time frame. This is the 1 minute. This is the 1 minute, my man. What's up? What's up, guys? Spray and pray. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Trading Lounge. Love the analysis for sure, my man. If it bounced off of 56.20 on this candle, would you feel better about the long? Just curious. Sorry, man. I read this late, so I don't know where we're at. No, not really. Not really. Not super excited for a long. I want to see if we're going to consolidate and then break to the upside. If we're going to have a dip back down. Again, watching Bookmap on the side here. Nothing screaming at me. We do have still orders right up above these highs. Those have kind of just progressively stacked up as we've moved higher. But nothing super clear on Bookmap that's telling me anything. I want to see now what happens if we come back down. This was an opportunity for a buy for sure. Right when I hopped on, if I wanted to be aggressive and buy right off of pre-market high, retesting right below these highs, that would have been pretty clean. But I'm kind of just in the wait and see mode. Again, we're still above everything. This still looks very bullish. Longs are still the move. This still is not a bad place. If you said, hey, man, I think we're going to move higher. Everything in my, reading of price action and where we're at and tools is telling me we're moving higher. I'm going to place a buy and throw a stop loss somewhere down into the zone where if we came back down in, I think we're less likely to make it significantly higher. That's still fine. I don't love this one right now. I'm about that 50-50 point where I can't place a trade if I don't have some conviction that we're going to move quickly one way or the other. So that's where I'm at with that. Answer well. Okay. Doing well on paper trading, but then on live account I get yeah, man. So that's the manage. Someone says they're doing well on paper trading, and then they struggle on a live account. That's the psychology piece of managing risk, right? Once you have skin in the game, there's a whole nother layer to this. And that's really the hard part. Learning how to trade from a technical analysis and being able to click, what buttons you should be clicking and how to structure risk. That's step one. Then it comes to the psychology of managing risk in the markets. What I would tell you is start super small, start to journal. There's a couple good psychology books you could read. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. Best Loser Wins. Really, really good ones by Tom Hogard. There's a number of other ones. You could read Steve Ward's books. There's The Mental Game of Trading. There's a lot of those ones that will help you start to understand the game that you're playing here, and really how can you start to accept the win rate and the risk to reward ratio you'll have. There's a lot that goes into that, but I talk about it a lot in Discord. If you're not in Discord, man, feel free to hop in. I yap about that stuff all day. Up 235 of the day. NQ Scalps call in. Might just call it a day. Been enjoying your breakdowns. Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and green on the day, man. No pressure. Everything's relative to what you're trading, right? Like, are we putting on $5,000 worth of risk? Or are we putting on $5 worth of risk? So the dollar amount's going to be relative. In a 50K account, what the daily drawdowns are here on Top Step. What the max drawdowns are. So it is kind of relative. You can compare there. Here we go. We got a little bit more of a pullback down in. I'm not looking for a buy or a sell right now. I'm going to wait to see what happens as we start to get lower into the zone. If we start to get lower back into the range of the day. What's up, Andre? Good, brother. Good. Feeling good today, man. Feeling good. Saying hello. What's up, Bran? I don't see any good setups. Do you do chart requests? No, not really, man. When I was trading Forex and had a little bit more time on some of these, or if I'm not trading, I'll take a look at whatever chart you want to look at. Thanks, man. Colton says paper trading is necessary, but you can never simulate the emotions that come with trading live. Yep. I like the mental game of trading over the other books because it gives you a roadmap to break your bad habits. For sure, man. Yeah. There's listen, I talk about books sometimes. I'm not the book guy. I got into reading books, actually listening to them on audiobook, really as I started to get deeper and deeper into my trading journey. There's a lot of books available to you guys. I highly recommend you read them or listen to them. A lot of them are free. from guys that have passed away. A lot of them are not free. Maybe don't rip everybody off, but I don't think you'll be worse off, in my humble opinion, after reading those 3 books that we just mentioned. I'd probably I'd pick Best Loser Wins and Trading the Zone as a tie for the first place. And then some of the other ones, Steve Ward's are pretty good. Mental Game of Trading is pretty good. There's a number of other mindset books in general that apply to trading. I really liked Think and Grow Rich. I think that's an important one to read. There's ones that are more focused on the technical side. If you're really early on in your journey and you got a lot of indicators on your chart, or you're constantly searching for the Holy Grail, Naked Forex is a pretty good one. I read that one fairly early on. That helped me with stripping away my charts and really simplifying things. It makes the case against indicators in general, and makes the case for using price action and market structure. I feel in the futures market, you could also utilize volume and order flow very, very well. More recently this year, that's what I've started to incorporate. But yeah, read some of those, brother. Thanks, man. I've just been trying to figure out a strategy that I'm going back to live. Went straight to a live account with no clue what I was doing. Yeah, don't do that, Alex. You don't need to pay the market that much to learn. I'll tell you this as I'm watching the reaction here that we may or may not get right off a prior day high. This is an important level, right? We came back down, tested this. I'm not going to take the aggressive buy, which would be buying right down here with a stop loss, maybe right below this area, maybe right below VWAP. If we turn from here and continue up, I think there is a good case to be made that we're going higher. If we continue down to VWAP, I'd want to see what happens, and then from there we've got a deeper push potentially, or we're just going to come back into the zone. But here's why I didn't want to take buys up here, right? On another day, maybe this does just continue, but my reading and interpretation of this price action was we got potential for a deeper pullback, even if we're going to continue higher. So let me not take the loss if I don't have to. My stop loss, I think at best would have been down here. I would have been out for a loss with really no profit showing. So we're back down into the zone. Again, I think a turn higher is on the board, but we didn't react really aggressively here, right? That's part of my interpretation of price action and market structure. Here's the aggressive push down. We're testing this area, finding some support. Are we going to aggressively push back up? Are buyers going to take control? And this just needed to come lower right down in here before, cracking back up above highs. Maybe we jump in on a buy as that's happening. We don't really have that just yet. We're just continuing to push lower right now. So let's be patient, or at least I'm going to be patient and see what we get from here. Again, watching Bookmap over here on my second screen, which I could show you guys in a little bit. I just do want to pay attention to what's happening right here on my chart. Nothing insane. Only thing that's sticking out to me now is 56.27. Again, still just right above highs. We got some liquidity right here. Nothing crazy down here, or even lower. Nothing nuts sitting on the book. We got 27, and then there's a little bit more at 31 is what it looks like to me. So we're going to wait to see. Only way you lose is if you give up. Stay patient and control your emotions on wins as much as losses. Euphoria can be dangerous. Agreed. Colton with some great gems there. Some solid advice in that or input if it's not trading advice, because nothing here is trading advice, because we're not financial advisors and trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Nothing here is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. There's my disclaimer. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. You're responsible for your own trading. Don't take anything here seriously. This is all for entertainment purposes only. I think what can help a lot of guys early on, Alex, as I'm watching to see if we are indeed going to push back up from here, is number one, reading some of those books, starting to understand how much of a psychology and mindset game this is, but also understand risk. You have to understand your risk management plan and what that really means. Not not just how much risk per trade, which is the basics, how many losses you can take before you end up blowing an account or getting into too much drawdown. But once you have a little bit of data collected, looking at your average win rate and your average risk to reward over a larger sample size of trades, right? A couple trades, a week or two is probably not enough to get a good feel for this. But once you collect that data, you can use things like free equity simulators. You can look at some charts and understand the relationship between those two and say, hey, with my win rate and risk to reward, I'm going to see, even if I do everything correctly, I'm going to see 5 or 6, I'm just making up a random number, consecutive losses over the course of 100 trades. If you understand that piece, when it comes time to take those losses, it doesn't mess with you as nearly as much. You really accept that risk and what you should see over a large number of trades. It can also help you to decide to decrease your risk if you're not comfortable taking that many losses. Here's a great quote that I repeat all the time from Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. There's a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. Hear that one again, because this one's powerful in my humble opinion. There's a random distribution between wins and losses for any given set of variables that define an edge. So let's break that down. If I have, let's say, a 60% win rate and a positive risk to reward, 1.2 to 1, let's just say, roughly. That means I will lose 4 out of 10 trades if everything worked out perfectly and I did what I was supposed to do. Again, these are just random risk to reward and win rate numbers, for example. That means it won't be win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. It won't be win 6, lose 4. It's a random distribution. And I find that really powerful to understand because it can keep you from getting too upset or emotional or fearful when you're losing. And it can prevent you from getting on top of the world euphoria when you're winning, right? Over the last couple weeks, if you go back, I made some adjustments, but it really did, whether it was some adjustments that have been made or just, the nature of the random distribution, I had a serious winning streak, a lot of winning trades, back to back to back to back to back. I don't get ahead of myself. I don't start jacking up risk and saying, oh, I'm God now, I figured it all out. I've been down that road before, and I understand, again, this is just the natural amount of wins. Same thing when it comes to losses. And if you guys are in the community, if you're here on the live, you'll see the losses as well. You'll see a lot of the break evens. You'll see a lot of the, just the days of no trading. They come in waves, and it can almost feel like it's really random, and you get strings of losses and strings of wins. But when you really start to understand that, you can trade through it effectively without it jacking up your trading after you take 2 losses or 2 days or 3 days of losses. And it can also help you really adjust your risk parameters to say, hey, I'm not comfortable, blowing an account, right? I'm on a combine here, trading the mini, S&P. The amount of risk that I put on with relative to my win rate and my risk to reward, I'm at risk over a number of 100 trades of blowing this account. Will I trade that way in an XFA? Would I trade this way on live? Probably not. I'd probably tone it back a little bit, dial it back until I build a buffer. I would do a number of different things. But I accept the risk that I'm putting on, knowing full well that even if I do everything correctly, right, I'm looking at this sell-off, man. Again, not looking for a short here. We are through VWAP. I'm not looking to sell. I want to see what happens now as we get past VWAP and come down to these lows. Is this going to continue, or are we going to reverse heavily here? There's a buy trade, a really aggressive buy trade setting up from way down here, or right now with a stop loss below here just as a pullback up. If we are going to bounce here, you get a solid entry if you plan on holding longs. At very least, I think a retest of price coming back up to fill this imbalance is likely. I know I cut my train of thought off there, but you get some of the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the stuff that helped me, really accept and understand that part of trading, because I believe that's the hard part. You can learn how to trade in the sense of creating a system that has an edge in the markets, develop your experience and your intuition. It does take time, but you can do that fairly easily. The hard part, the really difficult part, is the mental side, being able to look inward and say, why am I doing what I'm doing that is negatively affecting my trading? What are the root causes of that? What are my emotions? How am I feeling? And then how can I regulate? How can I self-regulate to remove the stuff that's not helping and do more of the stuff that is helping, and be able to trade effectively the way that I do on demo, right? Everybody can trade, not everybody, but the number of guys that could trade well on demo when no money's on the line, everybody would be a millionaire, man. What happens when it comes to live? Why can't you replicate what you were doing there? What's the reason for that? It's the psychology, it's the mental side of managing that risk, managing your emotions that come up now that you have skin in the game, that real money's on the line. And there's exercises, there's tools that you can use. There's a lot of different things you could do. I talk about it a lot. I'll continue to do so here on the live and in Discord. Hop in Discord if you're not. I run a free community. I trade live. No VIP paywall. I work with guys one-on-one. That's the only thing I do charge for. But I don't gatekeep anything. You get my strategy. You get my approach. I'll show you what's working, what's not working, all in live real time. Analysis every day, news every day. There's the plug for the community, man. Growing fast as all hell. It's awesome. 550 something members in a couple months. It's great. So again, watching what's happening down here. This is a hell of a sell-off back down into the range, right? We didn't quite crack these lows, the low of the session. We didn't put a new low of session in here. We are below all the VWAPs now. Aggressive buy right from the VWAP would not have played nicely. That would have been sliced through. We're down here near volume point of control, below the VWAP. Again, a buy to kind of fill this imbalance, come up to prior day high, even if we're going to continue lower, I think is on the table. If you were going to hold one for the rest of the day, and maybe we're looking at this continuing long, it's definitely on the table. You could get it from down here. Yeah, in my humble opinion, you'd want to stop a couple points below these lows if you were going to take it from right here. If you were going to wait to see what happens once we get down here, that's that's option number 2. Nothing crazy showing on Bookmap below these lows. There's no stacked amount of orders right down here that it's coming to grab. So I want to see what happens once we get down below here, but I'm not expecting a massive reaction. There are still orders. Now what I'm seeing up at 56.21. Here, let's look at Bookmap. Let's make sure we can see this. This is Bookmap, order flow tool. I won't break everything down, but the basics here. This is your order book, your current order book, live market. These are the orders and their quantities at the certain price levels. This is the heat map displaying historical price. This column right here to the right of this line is live. As you can see, it changing nonstop. What I look for is price levels that are getting lit up right here, showing that we have a significant amount of orders, at least more orders that are around it. As you change this, the heat map colors change as you display different amounts of data. But here's what I'm looking at when I say we got some orders here or there. 56.21 to 56.22. 26.5 to 27.5. We got some orders up here. Let's call it 27. Where that is on the chart, this is above the prior high. This is right about here, right above that 15-minute opening range high area that's been tested a couple times as support and resistance. So yeah, no trade for me now. All the way back down to the zone. We did not get follow through. Again, this was looking really bullish. I'm glad I didn't take buys up here. Again, I try to be realistic and create real expectations and always talk about what could happen and what didn't happen. It's fun to say, oh man, look, I read price action correct. Hooray for Zach, claps for not taking the buys, and I knew it was going to come down. You don't know what's going to happen. You can't predict the market. I read that we might be in store for a deeper pullback. This sliced through VWAP, so I'm holding now. We're all the way down here, like I talked about, for an aggressive buy, maybe. But at this point, I'm Now I'm flipped to, we're in the middle of this range, in the middle of this zone, back all the way down, going to test the low of the session. This bullish move pushing to the upside, not as likely. Maybe we look for trades in between here. But on another day, that you're watching, maybe this consolidates, retests this high, and just blasts to the upside. You're not going to be right all the time if you trade discretionary, which I believe is necessary for profitable trading in almost all cases. Rules-based systems don't work well in my 100% objective rules-based systems, in my humble opinion, don't work well. So you just got to accept that. You got to be okay with being wrong. You're going to be wrong a lot in trading. You have a really nice win rate with a positive risk to reward, 60, 70%, you're still wrong. 3 or 4 out of 10. You're going to have a number of consecutive losses, 5, 6, 7 consecutive losses, even if you do everything correct with that win rate and that risk to reward. So get used to being wrong. Get used to taking losses and not letting it affect you, and being able to go on and take the next trade the same way that you would if you hadn't taken that loss or if it was a win before. So that's the psychology stuff for today. But a lot of it is, a lot of this, guys, also is experience. I really don't like to discredit the experience and intuition, screen time, watching this stuff play out over and over and over and over again, narrowing your trading to maybe one specific instrument at one time of the day, like I do every single day. I'm on watching ES on the 1 minute chart or whatever chart that I'm trading. I bounce around with tools and stuff. But every day, I'm marking my chart up at the same time. I'm watching what happens for NYSE Open all the way through to NY lunch. And then I'm really watching it the rest of the day as well. You get to see a lot of different market conditions if you do that for a long period of time. You get to get a real feel for how price reacts around certain levels. You start to see anomalies that seem to occur that you can exploit a little bit. You develop that intuition, that feel, and that's important. Trading 4 combines, plus 1,200 on each, passed 2 of them. Looking forward to tomorrow. Nice, man. Very nice, Chris. Awesome to hear, man. My man says he passed 2 combines. Awesome, man. If I can give you a bit of non-financial advice, that's not a suggestion or recommendation. If I had just passed 2 combines and I was going to trade XFAs tomorrow, I would take it very slow. I would scale down my risk considerably. I would do the same thing that I did that got me there. I would just do it smaller to start out. Build a little bit of a buffer, get that momentum rolling, keep your head straight. If you do start to take some losses, they're small, and you don't do what a lot of guys do and, blow up as you're doing well. In the Discord, might do some one-on-ones. Awesome, man. Yeah, book a call. If you're interested in the one-on-one, book a free 30-minute call. Again, it's a paid program. I charge for that time. It is live trading every morning at 9:30 through Zoom, where it's one-on-one or a small group, just the guys that are doing the one-on-one program, and then multiple one-on-one sessions over the course of a month, going through everything that goes into profitable trading, creating a full trading plan, including your strategy, refining everything that comes into when you're going to enter, how you're going to manage your trades, a full risk management plan, journaling, psychology. How are you going to develop the right trader's mindset, right? What we're talking about on here, on this live. And then anything else that you're struggling with, man, all questions answered. Really, my goal with that 1 month one-on-one program is 2 pieces. 1, give you all of the information that you need to trade profitably in 1 month. All of the information. Does that mean you're going to trade profitably after 1 month? Absolutely not. But give you all of the info that you need, all of the tools that you need to be able to do it. And then start to implement all of that, create a feedback loop, be able to keep you accountable, and then be able to start to make some small adjustments once we get that feedback as we're seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then send you on your way with all those tools to be able to do that stuff yourself. Coaching, yeah, man, I don't know a single professional without a mentor or a coach. That's just my humble opinion. Or that didn't have one at a certain time, right? I'm not working with anybody personally now, but across my journey, some of the stuff that was really, really helpful was working with individuals in a paid program. Biased, so take that as you will. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. It's free to be here. Here, let me give you the disclaimer. Free to be here. I don't gatekeep anything. As I am building this community and I have a lot of time now, you can ask me questions in Discord for free. You can get these answers. You could hop on these lives. If you want to work with me one-on-one, have direct access to me all day, really be able to get hands-on help with your trading, that's what that program is for guys that are ready to get serious about it. Never understood what people meant when they said sometimes taking no trade feels better than taking a $500 profit trade. Taking that 520 long is the perfect example. Yeah, man. Yeah. Again, like, there's not on another day, maybe that works out really well. But for me, I read price action to the best of my abilities, and I make and all of the other things that I utilize, and I make the decision to the best of my abilities when it's right to put on risk, when I have an ideal way to structure my risk, and when I have some conviction that price is likely to continue in the direction that I'm trading. When I don't have that, I don't put on trades. Like, we're at 11 o'clock here. I'm getting ready for another no trade session here. I don't like to do that. I like to trade. I don't have a short as price is ripping to the upside, right? And any long that I took outside of this one right here would have been a failure. So outside of hopping directly on and catching this long right here, which I will say maybe on another day I take this. I will say that. I didn't really have the conviction on this one just yet. But on another day, maybe I'm taking this. Maybe I'm saying, hey, you know what? This looks super bullish. I got the conviction. I'm taking it super aggressively from down here with a stop loss below, or I'm waiting for this candle to close and I'm targeting that. It wouldn't have generated a huge profit. I probably would have got stop loss to break even and taken something off here if I had to on. I would have got stop loss to break even above this high, I'm convinced, whether I was entering down here or up here. But this wouldn't have been a huge winning trade. And then what happened after that? We broke through. Anything I'd taken over here would have been a failure, all the way coming back down in here. It looks like the sell that I lost on yesterday, if you go and watch my highlight reel of losses from yesterday, I took a sell as we started to slice through VWAP. First, I took a buy, looking for a bounce of VWAP yesterday. When we slice through like this on the downside, a lot of times you do see some nice continuation through. Maybe I take a sell, but where do I place a stop? Here? That's likely to be retested? No. Maybe here? There's my 1-to-1, Maybe I get stop loss to break even as it's coming back up and take a break even. So I'm displaying this to tell you I don't really have a trading setup for me and my approach that would have played so nicely. Here we go, clearing back up this imbalance that we were looking at, just kind of this impulsive move. I call this an imbalance, between buyers and sellers in a general market structure. I'm not using a footprint chart and talking about a stacked imbalance, which is a more technical term. So I try to clarify on that stuff. But where would my buy have been? Probably down here, right around this VWAP. Like I said, we got a buy setting up down here for it, but not really as we're right at this level for me. So nothing right now. I'm going to watch to see, give it another 15, 20 minutes, see what happens, and go from there. If you were looking for this to continue lower, we're getting ready for that level of retesting where a sell is looking okay, but now we're in this range, right, that we've set. And now I got to see, are we going to come all the way back up and continue higher? Are we going to come all the way down and continue lower? I'm not going to take the breakout of either of these highs or lows, so I would need even more structure to trade, and that takes a little bit of time to set up, usually. So I hope that's helpful, guys. I do the best that I can to explain what I'm looking at and what I'm doing and why. I was just wrong. I bought on the downward trade once I saw the green candle. Gotcha. Appreciate the input. Plan on trading micros. Yeah, man. Micros can't go wrong. The volume information and some of the info is different on micros, and that messes with me. It annoyed me yesterday. But for the most part, I think trading micros, just sizing down is the way to go. If you can trade profitably, right? And it's a marathon and not a sprint, and you're going to have to take losses. Why wouldn't you get your footing set up in a live account or in an XFA with some small risk? And then as you start to build a buffer, as you start to build more profit, you can scale up. You can even use the really classic dynamic risk management approach. It's very popular. I talk about it a lot. I do it myself sometimes in the combines, where you start small on the day and you scale up. Maybe you say, hey, my initial risk per trade is going to be $250, and if I lose two, I'm done. That limits your whole risk for the day, max loss to 500, and 250 per trade. Your risk management plan could include, if I win one, and maybe just for example, let's say I'm operating with a 2-to-1 risk to reward, which I'm not. Maybe if I win one and I get $500 in profit, I double my risk, I double my size, and I risk $500 per trade. Now, if I lose one, I'm back to break even. And if I win one at 2-to-1, I'm at max profit on the day, and I only had to risk my profit. Works really well with daily drawdown limits if you're intending to risk a lot, maybe relative to what that daily drawdown limit is. It allows you to really compound your wins. The downside to it is you don't know what trades are going to be winners, right? Back to that random distribution piece. You don't know what trades are going to be winners and losers, and you can very quickly run yourself right down to break even on a winning day, or back into drawdown on a winning day. Maybe today I say, hey, you know what? I got $276 in profit. I want to move the needle quickly on this account. I'm going to risk that along with my initial $250 worth of risk maybe. And if I win, it's double the winning that I would usually have with my regular risk. If I lose, I'm back into $250 drawdown. That's the dynamic risk management piece. Not for beginners. Wouldn't recommend that until you are very confident and comfortable in your system. You understand your win rate and your risk to reward over a large sample size of trades, and you have the ability to manage that. For most guys, a strict risk management plan, meaning I'm risking X amount per trade. That's it. I can take this many trades total, regardless of wins or losses. I can take this many losses per day, regardless of anything else, 2 or 3. And I know what that means for me every single day. And if I break any one of those, I made a big mistake and I'm done for the day. So, are you a big fan of trading with the trend, basically not shorting an uptrend or shorting a downtrend? Also, why do you prefer ES over NQ? Too volatile and quick, or better setups on ES? Sorry for all the questions. No, man. Again, I got nothing right now, so I don't mind answering questions. First off, do I like trading with the trend? In general, yes. Like, you're going to find more winning trades when you're trading with the higher time frame and lower time frame trends aligned. That's how price moves higher and lower, right? We have to be trending in a certain direction, and we'll have more ticks in the upward direction if we're trending up than in the downward direction to move higher. So just the basic, concept there is I'm going to take longs as we're buying. On the 1-minute chart, it gets a little bit dicey. There's a lot of opportunities to take longs and shorts within the 1-minute chart throughout the trading session. So I will trade counter trend. It just depends. I'm pretty discretionary with it. I've found as we've been on this tear and as I've come to focus specifically on U.S. indices, they trend up over time, right? Like if we zoom out on the U.S. indices to, a daily or weekly chart and we zoom out on TradingView, what direction are they going? They're almost a nice 45-degree angle to the upside. You're probably going to do better being a perma bull rather than a perma bear, right? That's just the logic behind, the way price moves. So I've tried to get a little bit better with that, understanding, hey, like you probably shouldn't be shorting more than you're longing, especially if we are in a current trend on all time frames to the upside. So yes, trading with that trend, especially for beginners, is helpful. For me, on a more zoomed in answer to that question, I find the trades that work out better for me and provide larger wins are when I'm trading with the immediate direction that price is moving. Meaning, I'm taking a buy as price is pushing up. I'm taking a buy on this big, green candle to the upside, rather than I'm taking a buy right from this level as we are coming down, with bearish momentum. That's trading with the trend just on a really zoomed in time frame. So why do I? Someone asked me earlier that I missed the question. Why do I trade with white candles? Just a preference, man. You could call it psychology, but mainly just a preference. A lot of guys change a lot of things on their charts and their platforms because of psychological reasons. Like if you see red candles in a long, maybe you get a little bit more fearful. You don't want to hold your trade. For me, it just kind of smooths everything out, easy on the eyes. I can discern market structure a little bit easier. I've done that for a while. I went back and forth between yellow and I had red and green for a long time, but I'm back to white and actually gray over here. But experiment with different stuff and find something that you're comfortable with. That's what I would say there. I don't think anything is going to be a massive game-changing difference as far as like the colors of your candles. Maybe for you it is. So just preference really there. Next question. Yeah, ES is a preference thing, man. I answer this question a lot. It's a preference thing. For me, I do find NQ to be very volatile. It's a lot of wicky, big price movement. If you're trading minis, you can only size down to one, in futures, and that can be a lot of risk. Overall, I moved from NQ, which I actually had more experience with in Forex, trading NAS 100 and US 30, which is Dow. But I moved to ES for the risk management purpose. Before, I think that I could trade micros in the same size on TopstepX. But I stuck with it because I just like the price movement. It's a little bit slower. I could watch the 1 minute. I find that the trends are a little bit cleaner. I found levels using ES I feel that it respects very well. So, but preference. You might find you're a specialist on NQ. It's going to work really well. But I would recommend, picking one instrument if you're going to day trade on a low time frame. I'm a believer in that nowadays more than ever. Become a specialist. So, what broker would you recommend for a demo account? If you could paper trade on TradingView. I think if you're in the futures market and you want to start trading with because I don't know that you can use a Top-Step account if you're not buying a combine. I don't know that you can trade in a practice account. If anybody's a Top-Step boy on here, let me know if you can just sign up for a Top-Step account and only trade a practice account. I don't know that you can. But I'd probably say Tradeovate has demo accounts as well and would put you in live market conditions with a demo account. So either TradingView, paper trading, just doing that yourself, or Tradeovate, which integrates with TradingView, and that would give you the experience of utilizing a TradingView chart, which I think most guys want to do. But yeah, I'm sorry, I wish I had a better answer for that one. Yeah, I'm thinking Tradeovate or just TradingView itself. Tradeovate has market replay with Top-Step, but not Apex. Okay. Yeah, if you were going to play the market back, I would just use TradingView. If you were going to back test, I would just use TradingView. But we're talking about like a demo account, like demo account that you would be trading right here. That's just fake money. I'm going to say paper trading on TradingView would be my first choice, and then Tradeovate, which I'm like 99.9% sure has free demo accounts that you could utilize. That's a futures platform, that would give you good experience there. Yeah, so all the way back up, no follow through to the downside. Back up above all these VWAPs. Again, I don't have a buy in between all this crap, man. This is just this is a little bit choppy, rangy for me. Buys down here would have been the move, but after this type of a sell-off, I'm not buying. I didn't have anything really sticking out to me on my chart or on Bookmap to say, hey, this is perfect time for a buy. Not when sellers are back in control. We did come up and test VWAP and then slice through. That could have been an indication to get long with a stop loss right below this area if this move was going to continue. Maybe give it a little bit of room to retest VWAP. But this to me looked like we could have just been coming right back down into the zone and pulled one of these moves. So no trade for me right now. Buyers definitely stepping back in, bringing it all the way up. Looks like we're coming to challenge the highs of the day. Looks like we're coming to see to test out the liquidity that's up here still on the book. Not major, again, nothing crazy, but still up there. And then some more orders at the 30s, 31s. Yeah, just nothing for me, man. Okay, this morning, this was all right. Couple of small trades. I probably won't do a recap for this one. Wasn't really anything that was it was a great demonstration. But some small wins on the solo session, and then nothing on this live again, man. Like I talked about, anything outside of a buy right here off this level or right here would have been a certain loss. This at best would have been a small win, if not a break even. Again, playing this back, buys right here. That's not in the cards for me. Not in the cards. At this point, I don't really see too much that's going to happen for me. If we continue this tight trend to the upside, we get above this high, we get some structure like that. Maybe we're trading to the upside. It looks like we are going to run. We just needed to come all the way back down to the lows of the session before continuing. Makes it difficult to long anything early in the morning and hold on to it. Maybe we get something as an afternoon trade. Maybe this reacts really hard. We come right back in and it's a range, or maybe we come all the way out to the outside, to the downside. But this is another difficult one. Up above 15-minute opening range, down below 15-minute opening range. Or not quite down below, because this would be your 15-minute. But back down pretty damn deep. So here we go to the upside. Let's watch it. Again, I'm not taking a breakout trade here. You certainly could. Not my style. No way to structure risk on this for me. No invalidation point where I'd say, hey, you know what? If we continue up, and we pull back here, I think I want to be out. Nope, we could easily do that. We could do that. We could do that. We got this big structure already. Why wouldn't we do some more of it? Bookmap. Let's watch what happens on Bookmap. Yeah, we got some volume behind it for sure. I think we're most likely to continue up a little bit here. Check out 31. That'll be interesting to see what happens. And then some pretty serious volume right at 11:15. Yep, right here. See it on the traditional volume as well. $11.15. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna call it here again. I don't have a setup. I'll tell you, if you're not in Discord, hop in the free Discord. Analysis, live trading every day, news, insights, ask me questions, all that fun stuff. Another no trade live, no losses, which is good. This again, if you jumped on late, 276 is from earlier this morning. We'll see if we can get some trading in tomorrow, man. I'm on here waiting for it, just not exactly setting up. Maybe on another day I catch something down here, I catch something over here. Nothing today. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. Again, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say or do is financial advice. I'm just an idiot on YouTube. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Almost everybody loses money that trades. Be cautious. And what is it? Nothing I say or do here is a recommendation or suggestion to do anything. Read the full disclaimer on my site. Sorry, I'm stalling out on this one. Read the full disclaimer on my site, realdealfutures.com, or in the description of this video. Also read CFTC Rule 4.41. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for being here again. I'll chat with you today in Discord. If I see anything later this afternoon, I'll call it out in Discord if I'm going to take a trade. Talk to you guys later.